So now for the final match, we have Shotaro, who is using Gold Paladins. Interesting. Good thing I sat this battle out. So he's using Gold Paladins up against FillerEpisode, who is using Narukami. As for which Narukami this is, all I see is a starter that gets power when something is put into the bind zone, which technically a lot of Narukami do that. So it doesn't really say much about what this deck is. I mean, Vanquisher gets the most out of it, but every deck can technically do it. Voltage Horn. I mean, I want to say that this is a Vanquisher deck, but nothing is stuck out to tell me this is a Vanquisher deck yet. Because most of what's being played right now are stock, the kind of units you'd see in almost any deck. Goes for a 19k attack that would have led to a draw. Shotaro has to drop a lot of hand to guard that, and I feel like it wasn't worth what he gave up. I honestly feel like he did that. He shouldn't have done that. Just because he can't get a lot of benefits from superior calling with his hand, with the way his hand is now. The Destiny Aglavale was honestly the best he could have hoped for in terms of trying to get some sort of advantage, and it didn't work. He's going really offensive over defensive, which this deck does specialize in that sort of play style. I was wondering why he hadn't healed for the heal trigger. FillerEpisode lets himself go to 3 damage instead of guarding the last attack, which was for 28. He could have dropped a 10k shield to block it and kept his damage relatively low. Just chose not to do that. Blitz Spear Dragoon. Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1. When its unit's placed on Vanguard Circle, choose up to one of your opponent's rears on the front row, retire and bind it. So Shotaro just lost an Aglavale, which decreases his ability to Legion as well as decreases his ability to search for Bluish Flame grade 3s, both of which do hurt his deck quite a lot. Shotaro guarding because he doesn't want his units bound from the drop zone now. Okay, that unit that I just saw, that grade 2, tells me that this is a Vanquisher deck. That was what I was waiting for to confirm that. I'm also extremely curious as to why FillerEpisode didn't stride with a hand like that. Is that mostly grade 0s? So, here's the thing. Wait, where did he just put those? Okay, I have to pause. Okay, just had to tell Shotaro something there, so I paused the recording to make sure that he understood. Holy Flame, after it calls units, it sends the units that aren't called to the drop zone, not to the bottom of the deck. So I made sure that Shotaro knew that. It doesn't. Did he drive check already? Yeah, he did. His triple drive already happened. So what he can do now, let me pause. Okay. So it doesn't change his drive checks because they would have been the same anyway, so he can just shuffle. Everything else about that move was fine. Holy Flame doesn't call specifically Bluish Flames or specifically Liberators, it just calls a card. So that part about the whole thing was fine. Stride into Zorus. And Shotaro is going to have one hell of a time guarding this. Yeah, I know. I knew what he was about to do. That wasn't ideal. Draw trigger. That trigger could have went to the Chatra if he had done it differently, but he didn't. So now Stride into Campbell. And FillerEpisode no guards. That's really interesting, actually. One critical trigger could end this, and he no guards. Well, no critical trigger appeared. FillerEpisode runs a lot of draws for the deck he's using. Gets a prominence glare grade 3 from the top 5 check. Shotaro is kind of doing his best to keep his damage low. Yeah. Shotaro goes for the rear guard because 16k Vanguard, neither of these sides can hit because 14 and 11. Narukami is not supposed to have hand like this and have this kind of an issue. For what FillerEpisode is doing, he should not have this much damage. Just because you can't look at this situation and tell me he didn't have guard. And he dropped Vanquisher for Stride. He actually probably would have been better off just riding that unit. And I feel like Neo Buster got triggered by looking at what's happening. I think Neo Buster has been triggered. I feel like checking, but I'd have to pause the recording again. And I'm not pausing it for a reason like that. So now we have Rock Climb Dragoon, which Because the Vanguard does have Vanquisher in its name, he was able to choose a rear guard, retire it, bind it, and plus 2k to... Did the opponent choose the rear guard? Yeah, it did. Okay. Because if FillerEpisode had the choice, it would have been Yaglavale. Get rid of as many mates as possible. Chain Bolt. What? If you have a grade 3 Vanquisher, then your opponent chooses a card from his own drop zone, binds it. I don't think that's a May skill. I think you have to do it. So that means something in Shotaro's drop zone is going to go to the bind, Shotaro's choice. So he gets rid of Yosef because he doesn't have much of a need for it right now. Kind of hungry. Gonna have to deal with that after this team battle is over. Shotaro, win. $13 plus 8. Oh, that's gonna hit for 21k. That's actually really good. Of course, voltage is gonna make it so that they all gain an additional 3k per. Ooh. Doing it again? I would do it. Oh, no soul. Gotcha. Wait, the fuck did he use soul on? The fuck did he use soul for? Oh, right. Spear Blitz Dragoon used the soul. So now Voltage's skill. The entire front row will gain 3k per unit in the bind. And by the way, that's a continuous skill, so it's going to change as things go. So right now the entire front row gains 9k. And he didn't reflect the change. Seriously, the front row should be gaining power right now. Why is he not giving it power? They should all have plus 12k. Chain Bolt's skill is once per turn, so he doesn't get that again. That should be plus 12k, so that's actually 52. Critical trigger to Chatra. So that should be 26 plus 12, which would be 38k. Yeah, that should be plus 12. I am so upset. I feel so bad for Neil Buster right now because I know he is so freaking triggered right now. So his choices between Bruno, Yosef, and Epona decides to go for Bruno because he gets another use of the skill. Oh, actually, he gets two more. He almost forgot again that they're supposed to go to the drop zone. I actually would have picked the crit just to put it back into the deck. I mean, everything that got called gains 2k. This will gain 4 because a unit was called after it was brought out. That doesn't gain this much. It also gains an additional 2k, so yeah, it's 15. Okay, now he's there we go. That's the correct power of everything. If FillerEpisode with a hand like that can't guard, wow, he does not have any perfect guards out of that hand. I am awestruck by the fact that with a hand like that, he is saying no guard. And I think Shotaro was as well. I'm gonna be perfectly honest, Shotaro was losing this fight. Despite the damage, Shotaro was losing this fight. I don't know what to say about this other than good battle. Nice team battle. Thank you, EX, for the fight. We'll see you next time.